Okay, we've been looking at piecewise functions this week, so we're going to look at some applications of piecewise functions where this can be used, so you can work some of these examples for your hybrid assignment. So let's look at an example, a kind of a price structure problem, which is very common for a piecewise function, because a lot of times when you buy things, they're not all the same price. When you buy more, they typically become less expensive per unit. And if you buy less, they're more expensive per unit. So in this case, we're doing something based on the weight of your dog. So we have a dog groomer that charges by the weight of the dog X based on the piecewise function below. Answer the following questions. So the first portion of it says you get charged $35 if the weight is between 0 and 15, including 15, not including 0 obviously. It is $40, or 40, just the number 40, if it's between 15 and 40. Not including 15, so slightly bigger than 15, or all the way up to 40. And then if it's bigger than 40, we have this last expression, right? So last expression, 40 plus 2 times x minus 40 if x is greater than 40. So we just have to figure out, like we've done all week, which piece our value goes into and then find the value. So in problem A, it says your dog weighs 15 pounds. So in this case, if my dog weighs 15 pounds, then my x is 15. Because remember, x is the weight of the dog. So if my x is 15, which piece does 15 go in it? Well, these both have 15, but only the first one has equal to 15. See how it has the equal there? So we'll definitely use the first part. So the function for the first one is just 35. So I would just say I get charged $35, straight $35. Second one says if your dog weighs 35 pounds. So again, this would be x equals 35. So I'll look up here at my piecewise function and see which one is 35. Well, 35 is definitely between 15 and 40. And then, of course, the function here just says 40. So I'm just going to pay $40. So I'm using piece 2. The final one says if your dog weighs 56 pounds. Now, 56 pounds is definitely greater than 40. So I'll use this expression over here. So x equals 56, so I'm going to use 40 plus 2 times 56 minus 40. That's this expression. You see this a lot in piecewise functions where you have, something minus something, especially when you're doing different levels of pricing. So if I do 40 times 2 times 56 minus 40, I get $72. And that's just me straight putting this in a calculator, or you could, of course, work it out piece by piece. So that's an example of a pricing structure where things cost different amounts at different levels of pricing. So you just figure out which piece of the function you're going to use it in. Okay, another place you can see piecewise functions is in our federal tax code. So what I have here is I have a tax withholding table that I found for weekly amount, so how much you get paid per week and how much tax is taken out. And we have single and we have married and things like that. So we have single on the left and a married on the right because you get taxed differently depending on what your exemptions and stuff are. But you can see that you get taxed at different levels depending whether you are at making over $73 or over $260 or way down here when you're making like $10,000 a week. So all these things are different ways of the tax code. So what I did is I took this tax code and I took it to make this piecewise function of the federal income tax code for a weekly basis. So a lot of times you think of taxes as a yearly thing, but you do get taxes taken out each week on your paycheck. So this is that piecewise function. So X is the total gross money you make. So if you make $10 an hour and you work 40 hours, you have $400. So that's how the gross wage works. So over here, these are going to be my gross pays. And then over here, this is how much tax I pay. Okay. Now, most of the tax you can see is in two portions. There is a set amount like this one. I pay $18.70, and then I pay an additional amount depending on what I make. Down here, I pay $3,000-ish plus a little more of what I make. So this is how the tax code works. This is sometimes referred to as a progressive tax. So if I want to find some taxes, I certainly can. So this first says, what is the tax rate for a person earning $9,100 a week? So do you notice it says tax rate and not the total tax? The total tax we could just plug in, right? So $9,100 means my X is 9,100. So 9,100 is this element right here. 9,100 is between 3,998 and 9,887. Now a tax rate, you may have heard of tax rate, people saying I'm in the 22% tax bracket or I'm in the 32% tax bracket. The tax rate is just this percentage here. So for this individual who makes $9,100 a week, their tax percentage is 35%. Now that doesn't mean they pay 35% of all their wages to taxes. It just means that is their percentage that's done in their calculation. So you also have a percentage, you also have a base withholding. So those are your percentages. All of these are our percentages, and all of these are our base. These don't matter what you make. If you're in that category, this is what you pay. So if you make $835, $835 would be in this fourth category right here, because $835 is bigger than $832, smaller than $1,692. So your base tax withholding is $87.34. So you pay $87.34 per week in tax, plus more, depending on your actual salary. So you have the base here, and then you have your rate determined over here, and then you just add those together, okay? So if we want to actually do the whole problem, it says, all right, how much is withheld? How much tax do you get for making $1,200 a week? Okay? So $1,200 a week, $1,200 is in this category. You're in the fourth category. This is where $1,200 would be. So all I have to do is simply plug in that $1,200 to this function. So we'll get $87.34, and they're in the 22% tax bracket, yes, 22% tax bracket. So 22 times 1,200 minus 832. Okay. So I literally just have to put that in. I find which one I'm in that middle one, so this is the one I check. So 87.34, I'm just putting this in a calculator, plus 0.22 times 1,200 minus 832. So I'm just finding which one's appropriate, plugging it in, and I get 16830. So the last one says, how much is withheld for a person earning only $73 a week? So obviously that is a very small amount, right? So $73 is actually in this first one, because you notice it says less than or equal to 73, so I would include 73 there. So the tax rate, if you make less than $73 a week, is just zero. You get no tax taken out. Now obviously the problem is you're only making $73 a week, so yeah, you get no tax out, but you're not making very much salary at all. So this is just a couple examples of ways you can use piecewise functions. There'll be a couple other on your assignments, stuff about pricing of hotel rooms. I have an alternate tax proposal we can look at. So these will be the problems that you'll complete to get credit for your hybrid. But if you do have questions, obviously, please let me know.